That's so weird. So weird. What does this do? Huh. Just gonna leave this right here for a second. Just gonna leave it right here. Can someone let me know if you can hear? I don't know what I'm doing. If you can hear me, I don't even know how to read my chat. I think I could click this button. I don't know. I don't know. If you can hear me, let me know. If you're my friend in real life, text me so I know. We're going to start at 8:30 just for fun. How are you guys doing today? Let me see if I could bring this up on my phone, because I honestly have no idea what's going on. Not obligated. Okay. Oh, I can see Don. Whoa. Whoa. Yeah. Okay. I don't know how to get the Facebook chat up. Hootie, I'd like need you. Nancy, this is not a rerun. This is live. This is not even just a video. This is just a live. We're going to start at 8:30. Thank you for those of you who texted me. So I could just check my watch. Hey, Auntie. Hey, Gma. See you guys. Today was crazy. Today was crazy. Hootie is on here. I think Hootie's on the Facebook. Hey, Bob. Good to see you. Sorry I look like a... whatever this is. Yeah. Hootie and I went down to Cape. I kept calling it Cape Corral. It's not Cape Corral. Let me pull that music down. Is the music too loud? Let me know if the music is too loud. Hey, Lucia. Thanks for texting me, Don. Oh, we're going to start at 8:30, Millie. 8:30, I have a little video we're going to play and walk through. It was crazy. The relief trip today was crazy. They need tons of help, like more than they will get. People will give them a ton of help, but they need even more. Even more. We'll get into it at 8:30. We'll start. How do I just... I really just need... I need a Hootie over here so he could just show me how I'm doing this wrong. There we go. Where should I put this thing? If I were Hootie, I'd put it right here. Nope, I wouldn't. It's not going to stay. I'll put it down here. Millie, you can definitely go. They would love to have more people. There's a church that we dropped off our supplies at. Murdoch Baptist Church. It's 8:29. 8:29. Oh, music is good. I think I turned it down, Hootie. Sorry. This is literally just random. I think I went to mood. And the mood I picked was euphoric. Happy euphoric. I don't like that song. Let's go for classical. That's a little intense. Peaceful. Yeah, I like that. I like that. 8:30. We made it. Glad you guys are here. For those of you who have joined into the live, this is not the normal wandering news, wandering pastor, nightly news. I keep forgetting what I'm doing. We went on a trip today. We went on a trip on a little rocket ship, not with little Einsteins. And I wanted to share with all of you because it was a mind-blowing experience. Mind-blowing. So here's what happened. I'm going to give you the quick recap of what we're going to go over. Hootie and I, also known as Tommy, a.k.a. Hootie, does not work for the CIA. Works for somebody, I don't know who. We went down, we loaded up a Toyota Sequoia, and we loaded up the bed of a Jeep Gladiator. That's those weird Jeep trucks that we're seeing around. And we went down to Port Charlotte, down the 75. We loaded up at around 7:15. We left the chapel at around 7:45. I ran to Publix and was out of there by 8:10. We did not get down to Port Charlotte until almost 12 o'clock. So it was a long, long day. First, we took our water, 20 cases, give or take, of water, plus another 15, 20 gallons, and we dropped off the majority of our supplies at Murdoch Baptist Church. They have a Florida disaster relief organization that's there working with FEMA. And here, they would not take our water. They said, we can't take your water. We can only take water from FEMA. So that was dumb. And it just reminded me why governments suck. That's it. So we dropped off our water and our food around the parking lot at the church, and it was amazing. And then what made today sort of crazy, and let me know, by the way, in the chat, I have YouTube chat right over here, and I have Facebook chat down here. So if you can chat, I can answer some things. So when we finished dropping off the food, we had two Chapel family who had said, hey, can you go check on these people for me? One of them was Chapel family from online. One was Chapel family who said, this is my coworker's uncle, literally my monkey's uncle. So first we put in the address and we go down, and let me just jump over here. Where am I at? We're going to go right here. Now let's go video player. Sure. Screen face? Let's do that. That's bigger. So this is us as we're going down. See this? See this sign over here? See the sign where our mouse is wiggling? The majority of signs that we see for our Arby's, McDonald's, Discount Tire Company, Tire Kingdom, they were blown out as we're driving along. And as we are driving along, and I apologize, I didn't get rid of the reflection on my dash as I was recording, as I was driving. I was focusing on the road. But as we're driving along, at first I'm seeing trash We're seeing broken trees on the way down, and it's just a few broken trees. Every quarter mile, once you get down past Sarasota, you're seeing broken tree. You're seeing a broken cell phone tower. You're seeing another fallen tree, a sawn down tree. And then when you get down into the area, you start to see signs that are gone. Then you start to see trash piles that are just piled up, metal that has been smashed to the side of the road. And what's weird about it, because, see, I've been to Tijuana, I've been to India, and when you're in those places, you expect to see a third world country. And it's what I grew up with in the church. When I began following Jesus, we'd go down to Tijuana orphanages, we'd go to build schools, we'd go to build homes. So I was used to seeing poor people in the midst of garbage heaps, literal garbage heaps, and bringing them food. And we went down to deaf orphanages every year and we baked cookies for deaf orphans in Mexico. So these things are in my mind, and going to other countries that are very third world. What was odd and what shook me up about today was that these were places like where we live. And we in Tampa were projected to have this. And there's down there's just as many dentists, storage units, mobile homes, suburbias, trees, and power lines. It just looked the same, but destroyed. So, as we were driving down, we continued to see more of this stuff, and I'm just scrubbing through this video so you can get an idea. Let me just scrub through. Sorry, don't get dizzy. Close your eyes if this is making you dizzy. I mean, you could see here on the right, you can see these power lines. The power lines were all tilted. Oh, okay, so here's where we got to the neighborhood. This is where we checked on our first guy. This was someone that a chapel online family said, hey, can you check on this person for me? His daughter's worried about him. We haven't heard from him. So we're going up to knock on his door. We're not knowing, is this guy dead? Is this guy alive? We don't know. Knock on his door. Nobody answers for a couple, 30 seconds, minute. And finally a lady comes up and I said, hey, is so-and-so here? Yes, he's here. Hollers in the back, comes out. This guy comes out. I'm like, yo, bro, your daughter is worried about you. Yeah, I'm sorry. I should call her. I didn't think about it. Yes, call your daughter. Call your daughter. So he called. He said he was going to call his daughter. It was terrifying, but I just want to give you an idea. As we were driving down past his house, so this is in Cape Coral. This is on what would be the northwestern side of where the storm hit. So you have in Punta Gorda, in Port Charlotte, it was a northwestern, and this is Cape Coral. We're getting closer to the eye. But if you look at the eye of the storm, on one side, it's wind primarily. There's still rain, but on the other side, it's heavy, heavy rain, and there's still wind. This side was still the windy side of the storm. So this wasn't even as bad as some video that we're going to see later. But notice on the side of the roads, you see debris on the sides of the road. There's a basketball hoop over there. There's tree branches in front of pretty much every side. There's power lines that are down all over the place. And the people were constantly just bringing their trees, their fences, all of the Florida screened in cages. Not all of them. The majority of them, though, were blown to bits. And the plastic vinyl fences were scattered about. All the plastic vinyl things were strewn all over the place, and people were scrambling. At this location, there was still not yet any power. We were out of power for 5 days at my house. They're now going on, this is day 8. So it's pretty remarkable. There's people there. FEMA is finally making their way in. And there are services that are providing things like water, food, laundry services, which is amazing. They will literally do your laundry for you. Here, see these trees on the right? I only videoed so often, but this was not uncommon. This was not me saying, oh, there's a tree that's down. If you just held out the GoPro, these trees like this were down everywhere. Palm trees down, oak trees down, poplar trees had all the leaves and bark ripped from them. It was mind-blowing and mind-shocking. And like I said, I've been to Mexico on mission trips. I've been to India. And when you go there, you prepare your heart for a third world country and you pray a certain way. But when you drive just down the highway and all of a sudden you see what looks like your type of community, but in utter devastation, there's a different shocking grief and a pain that came over me, maybe not for everyone, but this is what we were walking through today. Tree after tree, power line after power line, house after house. There were so many houses. Some houses, like that roof right there, had all the tiles. They had all the shingles. But then there were other places where the roofs were ripped bare. We saw metal roofs that were peeled back like tuna cans. It was remarkable, like this quality filming. Okay, so this is when we're going to the second house. And let me just tell you about this guy. Oh, look at that's power line right there. So we go to the second guy's house. Let's go full screen for this because this story is great. We're going to Steve's house. Steve was one of our chapel family. It's a coworker's uncle. We don't know. Someone said, hey, can you check on this guy for us? We haven't heard from him. Steve, 70 years old, give or take. Tank top, back in the 90s, we called them wife beaters. I don't think that's politically correct anymore. Gold crucifix. Knock on the door. Shutters are all up on this whole house, except for the door, which had some glass inlays. And I talked to the neighbor after we drove up and said, we're looking for this guy named Steve. And he lives over here. Have you seen him? Yeah, he's here. Just knock, knock. So we knock on the door. Steve comes out. Tank top, gold crucifix, Cambodian wife, mid-50s to late 50s. Steve, late 60s, early 70s. So he comes out. Oh, yeah, I'm Steve. And he talks in sort of this mafioso Miami accent. And we start saying, hey, we're just here because so-and-so knows so-and-so. And they wanted to know if you're okay. Because this hurricane just came through. And down there, the cell service is spotty. The Verizon cell towers broken in half. T-Mobile, AT&T, there's spotty service. And there's so many people just getting back on service in emergency trucks. You can't always get through. So yeah, I'm Steve. I'm okay. I'm okay. And then he starts telling us the story. He sent his wife away. Steve barricades himself in behind the storm shutters. The neighbor across the street didn't have storm shutters, so he put up plywood. And thinking ahead, the neighbor drilled a hole through the plywood so he could see Steve's house. Steve can't see. These storm shutters are corrugated metal. You can see maybe down, just straight down. If you look down a window, just a foot of eyesight. So Steve's inside when the storm's hitting. It's Tuesday night, going into Wednesday. The storm is crushing into this area. It starts out 40-mile-an-hour winds, 50-mile-an-hour winds, rainfall, 80, 90, 100, 100 plus, 120 plus mile-an-hour winds where we were now, where Steve's house is. He's freaking out because he can't see. And at this time, the power's gone out, but there's still cell service. His neighbor's texting him, hey, the water is at your mailbox. You see, Steve lived in this community, and in Cape Coral, there's water all around. So the storm surge that we heard about in the news is coming up. It's filled the street. It's reached the mailbox. And Steve is very precise. He says, it was at this time, and I know it was however, 8 minutes, 15 minutes, because then he texted me and said, and he goes, I have this all documented. He said this multiple times. I have this all documented. The storm then gets a text a few minutes later. It was 8 or 15. Hootie can let me know in the comments if he remembers. The neighbor texts, the water is submerged your mailbox. It's coming to your house. So Steve's in his house. His wife's away. The water's coming up. It's beginning to lap upon his porch. And back down there, you've got the outward open doors and then these metal corrugated storm shutters. Steve can't see anything. The wind and the water is bashing his house. And he said, you guys, I'm telling you. And he already knew I was a pastor at this point. He said, it sounded like the poltergeist was trying to come into my home. And I couldn't see anything. All I could rely on was my neighbor texting me from across the street through his peephole in the plywood. And I was there looking down through the corrugated metal. And he said, I tell you, I've lived through a blizzard. I've lived through the storm of something, 1978. And I thought, this is it. I'm going to die. It's not a matter of if, just how this storm is going to take me. So Steve goes into his garage, grabs his Zodiac, which is an inflatable boat. He inflates the Zodiac, puts it in his entryway, and is prepared for the storm to break through his house, and he'll float up to live. This guy, straight gangster. So this is Steve. And as we're talking to Steve, literally as we're talking to Steve, the neighbor next door, who was a police officer and he was on duty during the storm, his house flooded 8 inches. We already heard a bit of his story from the other neighbor. This neighbor, cool, calm, collected as a cucumber, comes over as Steve's sharing his harrowing tale of Zodiac filling, entryway rising type thing. And this neighbor comes over and says, this calm, hey, does anyone have a fire extinguisher? I think there's a fire in my house, because their power, they lived right near a transformer area substation. Their power had just turned on, and apparently his breakers were still on. So his house, which had flooded about 8 inches, Steve's house was spared. His house, though, had water through the drywall into some of the electric. So there's this electrical smell of burning coming. So all of a sudden we run over there and I look at my car, no fire extinguisher, like something is definitely burning. So Hootie and I are running to neighbors. Do you have a fire extinguisher? Do you have someone tell this guy to turn off his breaker? He finally turns off his breaker. It's crazy. And Steve's over there with his gold chain, his Cambodian wife, the other neighbor who's like, he's the guy who created the hills for hillbillies. They're all coming out. Everything gets settled down. But let me tell you, like, this is the second person that we had, and I was blown away. We dropped off some water, because after we did drop off most of our supplies at the relief place, but we kept some in case we ran into people. We gave Steve, our Catholic homeboy, some water, because there were people that are running out of water. Just on Sunday, Hootie and another guy from the chapel, Jake, went down, and they literally found someone who was on their last bottle, 20-ounce bottle of water. Like, this is where they're at. And yes, FEMA's there. Yes, churches are organizing in, but so many people are getting lost in the sauce, and they don't have enough people just going out to say, we're here. We're here to care. We're going to get together, just so you know, people who are going to go down. We're going to bring waters and sodas and lunch, like hot lunch. We're going to cart down grills. We're going to park up at a Publix, because there's no restaurants really open down there, especially in Cape Coral and the bad parts of Fort Myers Beach. And we're just going to cook for people and hand out stuff. Obviously, no expectations. It's 2 hours from our church family. So we're just going down there because people are hurting. People are in need. So anyway, this is what's going on at Steve's house. We finally say goodbye to Steve. We give him some water, some gallons, some flats. The police officer whose house was electrically catching on fire, we're like, hey, can we help you? Like, do you need help moving? And he goes, and this is what he said, and this hurt my soul. He said, let me paint the picture. He's here, sub 40 years old. His wife, early mid 30s, young boy walking around 5 or 6 years old. And this police officer, total despair, just says, we're moving out today. I'm not dealing with this anymore. I can't deal with this anymore. And it was so heart-wrenching to like feel his exasperation, just no hope. He had no more hope. So this is where we leave the second person. That was our wellness check. 2 wellness checks. We went down. People knew we were going. They said, can you check on them? The third person, we were going down because they are friends with Hootie. And we were delivering something to them that Hootie's company had purchased so that they can continue to stay connected. Now this house, the other 2 houses had not been flooded. They had wind damage. There was shingles gone. There were storm things. There were trees broken all over the yards. The trampoline from the neighbor hit Steve's house, and that's why Steve was so scared. This house was different. This one was flooded. And when I say flooded, I don't mean like just the 8 inches. I mean, we're talking flooded, like 4 feet flooded, up the walls flooded. And everywhere in the flooded area, remember I talked about how this storm, if you're on one side, it's windy. If you're on the other side, the northwest and the west side where it's wind side. The southeast and east are the water side, because It's coming in, it's pulling all the water from the Gulf and slamming it into Florida. Now, this was on the water side. And to say that it, when you pull down the streets, I think I've got pictures of this. Let me just back up here. I mean, these houses, there's just, oh, here it is. Let me go over. Here we go. So see the furniture over here? There was furniture outside of every single house in the flood side of the hurricane, because it floods 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 feet up, which means all of your furniture, your mattresses, your carpet, your couches, your upholstered chairs are ruined. It's done. Salt water has destroyed them. Whatever hardware is inside of them will rust and melt to destruction. So as we go up to our buddy's house, you just see, and these are small, like what you see here, that's a small amount. I don't even see couches here. And I can't remember if this was on our way in or on our way out. I don't know where we were. But every house, the further we went, had more and more and more and more and more furniture. Look, there's one right there. You see the couches, you see the beds. This was not uncommon. You see cranes in the back pushing things up. You see towers that have fallen, power poles that have fallen. There must have been at least, and this is not like a hyperbole, pastoral exaggeration. And Hootie, I think Hootie's on one of the channels. He's either on YouTube or Facebook. There were over hundreds of fallen power poles. Just hundreds. It's blowing my mind. But what broke my heart is we go to this house, and this couple, 70 years old, give or take, their daughter is staying with them. They've lost everything. Like, just, they've lost everything. It's not like they lost some of their thing. Like, everything in a one-story house is pretty much 4 foot or down. Think about your house. You might have some stuff in your closet. They had such good spirits about them, and they've been getting some help. They had got a generator. They have some gas. They've got tons of water because the company they work for has been helping them out. And we were bringing them a hotspot so they could have internet access with AT&T, because Verizon tower in this area literally is folded in half like a taco. And this couple, the husband gets called away on an insurance call. So we say, go take your insurance call. The back of their house, there's a boat, and it was strapped down. The pool is brown and muddied like toilet water. As you look around their neighborhood, every house that has pool cages just seems to be destroyed. Their pool cage was not. 2 houses down from them, a house was burned to a crisp, because in the midst of all this, even though the power was off, some humans, some broken, busted humans went around, and the working theory in this neighborhood is that people were basically going around right after the storm ended, throwing Molotov cocktails on houses. And there were like 3 houses in their little community burnt down from the roof down in the middle of a storm. There's some other theories, I'm sure, but it just seemed to be that's what was going on. And this couple, first, I love it when people just treat me normal. Like when they find out I'm a pastor, but they don't really care that much. And I loved it because they were telling me about what they lost. They lost their stamp collection that they'd had. They found this old Bible from the 1700s, which I love. I love old Bibles. It was a Swedish Bible, I want to say. And they said it was just molded and gooped shut. And then I can't, this is so funny. They were like, and we lost our collection of Playboy magazines. We were collecting these Playboys to sell them because they're worth some money. And it's foolish. I was like, were they under the Bible or on top of the Bible? I'm such a bad person. But I had Hootie take a picture for me. You guys don't judge me. I didn't open it. Hootie can verify. I just said, Hootie, you got to take a picture of me. This is hilarious because they literally had these Playboys just strewn about in their front yard with the trash behind. Let me see if I can get this to focus. There I am. Don't lust. If you struggle with lust, look away. But literally, their couches are out there, and then there's stacks of books and papers and Playboy magazines. It's like a 12-year-old's dream from 1987. But it was so heartbreaking. And then here's what, you guys, as we're dropping this thing off, we're talking to them, trying to encourage them. And we've been, I've been God blessing people as we go all day. They say the people that lost everything, their house is done, totaled. It's a total loss. The insurance agents down there are having the worst 6 months of their life right now because hundreds of thousands of houses, total loss, without question. And then they say, hey, we have fish. My husband likes to fish. Do you want some frozen fish? Because he goes on these fishing trips every year, and we've got bluefin tuna, we've got yellowtail. A family that just lost everything offers me fish. Of course I took it. I love fish. They had so much. And I'm sure we'll go down there. We'll continue to help these people. But it's just mind-blowing to me. It's mind-blowing the types of things that you would see as you're going down. Let me pull one more thing up here. I took a couple pictures. Let me see if I can figure this out. You guys, I'm so bad at streaming. I don't know how these gamers, they do this and they're so good at it. Let's see what we got here. These are just, look, you guys, are you kidding me? This house? This is what I was talking about. The metal roofs. You think those roofs are safe? They just got peeled back. When people talk about the power of a storm, this is a Cat 4 storm. This is what Category 4 looks like. I'm not staying for the next Category 4 storm. We're talking about power poles, power lines, and half the time there's water running in these channels, and you just have power lines sitting in the water, just sitting there. Like, yep, that's a Category 4. When someone tells me, oh yeah, we'll stay for a Category 4, we're from Florida, you can stay there with your double-digit IQ. This is terrifying. A Category 4 storm, Category 5 storm is absolute destruction. If you've ever wondered how powerful nature is, nature comes in and does not care. God cares. Nature, ruthless. These are I think they're poplar trees, just ripped the bark and the leaves off of these trees. These were the pine trees, and this was common, just everywhere you go. This is my favorite. Did I get a better picture than that one? You guys, that boat was in the middle of the street. If I could have done a slideshow with just the boats. It could be called Boats Not Where They Belong. That's what it could be called. There were boats on houses. There were boats on fences. There were boats on top of boats. There were boats on bridges. There were boats in the street. There were boats with no feet. At this point, we're basically a Dr. Seuss novel. So this is what happened today. They need help. They're not going to have power restored to their cities in a week. They're not going to have their roofs rebuilt in a month or 2 months or 3 months. The amount of catastrophic damage is unfathomable. I've been to the slums of Mumbai. I've been to the dumps and the orphanages of Tijuana. And those places are measurably worse. But what is odd about this is that it's the worst I've seen a place so similar to where I live. And sometimes we just take it for granted. It's like we can't believe that what we have now could be taken from us in an instant. And I talked to Steve, and I talked to Hootie's friends, the 7-year-old couple with the daughter. You see the boats in the middle of the street. And it's like, you just don't realize. Like when the Bible says this life is a vapor, and it's going to be gone. You just don't realize it's as fast as a storm, an earthquake, a heart attack, an aneurysm, a diagnosis. It's weird. It sort of shook me up because it's in our backyard. So we're going down more. We're going down. We have to. I have to. We don't have to. I have to go down more because people just like me, they're there without their homes, without restaurants open, with gas stations scarcely open in so many areas, although they are getting some gas, with power coming back on and causing electric fires, with storm shutters on the second floor that won't be taken down for weeks because there's no one to come and take them down. There's so much. And this storm, for those of you who aren't from Florida, this storm was forecasted to hit where I live for almost the entire track of the storm until the last 30 hours. So I see this, and I do thank God in one sense that it missed me because my flesh is weak. But it's like, you wouldn't pray for this to hit anybody. And until you see it, I guess you just maybe can't understand like the devastation. But it's just more than anything I've seen as far as an act of nature. So what would Jesus say? Repent and believe. This life is short. So you guys, that's the nightly news. I've been doing goofy, fun nightly news on the YouTube for a few weeks. And I streamed once during the hurricane because I had no choice. I couldn't record and upload. And this is a stream for tonight. I love you guys. I'm praying for you guys. And I'm emotional, not just because of this, but on the way home, we got some super, super tough news from someone at the Chapel family. Just going through a mega big loss. Unrelated to the hurricane, but its own type of storm of a life for two young men at the chapel. So my heart is broken today, like in so many pieces. And it's just where I'm at. So, I love you guys. Frick, man, this music. What is going on? Can you guys hear this music? It's making me sad. It might be louder in my ears than yours. Okay. I love you all. What is today? Wednesday. We have one more night of the nightly news. Do you like this live stream stuff? I don't know. I haven't figured it out. I can't tell what I'm doing. Man. So anyway, if you like the live stream, let me know, like in the chat thing. Hootie, I need your help. I can't get the Facebook chat up here. I need some mental help, some emotional help, and some technological help. I love you guys. If you like the live stream, maybe we'll do live stream from now on at 8:30 because it's kind of fun for me, and that's all.